So in the previous class we discussed about preamble. So next we shall begin with another topic, fundamental duties. Okay. So before we begin, can any one of you recall the preamble? So who will give a try? Yesterday who recalled preamble? You tried? Yes. I think Rakshita, you tried day after day for yesterday, right? So who will give a try? Yes, Kotresh. Preamble. Not an issue, but you should become perfect. Okay. So because already it's a ninth day. So what I was expecting is to become perfect at least with respect to preamble, and I expect you to recall it in a verbatim format. Now what you are doing is you are jumbling it. Okay. So with liberty you are mixing fraternity. Justice part you are mixing fraternity. So that should not happen because again it will lead to confusion. Okay. Who will give a try? Yes, Margina, go ahead.
We the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. In this Constituent Assembly, in our Constituent Assembly, this 26 November 1949, do we hereby adopt, enact, and give ourselves this Constitution?
Give ourselves this Constitution. Okay, so good. So, which word in the preamble indicates that the head of the state position is not hereditary, elected? Republic. Next, absence of restraints. Yes, liberty. Next, reservation for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and women. Justice, to be specific, social justice. Okay, so Manarega scheme is an example of which kind of justice? Okay, to some extent equality. It provides what kind of justice? Economic justice. Next, single citizenship is an example of upholding which value of the preamble? Fraternity. Okay, so these are the various things that we discussed in the previous class. Okay, so I want you to become perfect. So once we complete fundamental duties, there will be a test. Okay, there will be a test on all the topics that we have covered till this class. Okay, it may be parliament, it may be preamble or fundamental duties. See, test will not be module wise, please understand. So after completing fundamental duties, I am not going to take only test on fundamental duties. So it will be a cumulative test. Every time when I conduct a test, it will be a cumulative test. Whatever syllabus we have covered up to that point, all the syllabus will be part of the that's a test syllabus. Why? Because in the examination, when you go to the examination hall on May 23rd, few of you, okay, next year, so the entire syllabus will be there. So hence I don't want to build that false confidence. So in one test, if you score out of out, then it's not going to decide whether you are going to crack the prelims or not. So it will be a cumulative test. Okay, it will be a cumulative test. Okay. So next we shall begin with fundamental duties. I think yesterday I had asked you to memorize the fundamental duties. I hope all of you have done it. Okay. What we can do is one by one. So one person, one fundamental duty. Okay. So who will start first? They will get an opportunity to recall the easiest fundamental duty. Yes. Who will try? Yes, Pradeep. Bit louder. Okay.
To abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and national anthem.
Okay. One is over. Yes. Next two. Okay. Next, who wants to recall? Two are over. I want some other. Yes, Margina. Can you give a try?
Defend the sovereignty and render national services when called.
To defend the
Sovereignty,
unity and integrity of the nation and render national services when called upon to do so. Yes, Mega. To promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood among all its citizens, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogated to dignity of a woman. Yes, Abhishek. Next. I'm not asking you to recall the entire list of fundamental duties. At least when your turn comes, you should be ready with one fundamental duty which has not been recalled by other friends. Yes, Karthik. To develop scientific temper and spirit of inquiry reforms. Yes, Karthik. Yes, Kotrish. To I think it's a completely new fundamental duty. Where did you encounter this? No. To safeguard public property is there. To safeguard public property and abjure violence. Yes. Six to 40. Okay. So these are the fundamental duties. Okay. So few of the fundamental duties you might have understood. Few of the fundamental duties you might not have been able to connect properly. So in this class we shall make an effort to understand these fundamental duties in detail. Okay. And we did the exercise for preamble. Similarly, we shall continue with the exercise for fundamental duties as well. Okay. Next. Yesterday we saw that preamble, whether it is enforceable or non-enforceable. Non-enforceable. We also call it as non-justiciable as well. During the discussion, we also saw that fundamental duties are justiciable or non-justiciable. Duties are also non-justiciable. The same has been reiterated here. Non-enforceable. Same. Non-justiciable. Okay. Fundamental duties are non-justiciable or non-enforceable. Both of them are same. It means if someone does not follow the fundamental duty, you cannot file against him in the court of law. Okay. In the court of law. Hence they are non-justiciable. Okay. Non-justiciable. Added through 42nd Amendment in 1976. As I mentioned, 42nd Amendment is a very important amendment. It is a very important amendment. So whenever we come across 42nd Amendment, we have to retain the content. So yesterday during the discussion of preamble, we saw. So which terms were introduced into the preamble through 42nd Amendment? Social, secular and integrity. Similarly, fundamental duties originally they did not exist in the Constitution. Fundamental duties they did not exist in the Constitution. Hence, fundamental duties were added through 42nd Amendment, and a new topic was introduced. That is 4A. Okay, 4 was there, 5 was there. They wanted to insert in between. Hence, they said 4A. Okay, 4A. Also, article number 51 was there, 52 was there. They wanted to insert in between. Hence, what they did it is 51A. So, only one article deals with fundamental duties. There is article number 51A, and the chapter which deals with fundamental duties is part 4. Part 4A. These fundamental duties were brought based on the recommendations of Swaran Singh. Who was Swaran Singh? What did he do? We shall not worry about it. We shall only have a concern that based on whose recommendation fundamental duties were brought. It were brought based on the recommendation of Swaran Singh. In the examination, in order to confuse us, they may frame a statement like this. Based on the recommendation of Swaran Singh, the following was brought. Preamble, fundamental duties, fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy. Fundamental duties. Okay, from the prelims point of view, if at all they frame a question in that fashion, so we should be clearly able to identify. Okay, we should be able to clearly identify. Okay, identify. So, idea of fundamental duties has been borrowed from erstwhile USSR. Okay, so erstwhile means previously. So, the meaning of erstwhile indicates previously. USSR. So, previously there was a what USSR. So, now it has been disintegrated. Now, what you can call it as Russia. Russia plus some other countries. Okay, some other countries. So previously there was one single USSR, but now it has been disintegrated, and we have Russia plus many small countries. Okay, small countries. Now yesterday we saw the ideas of justice we have taken from which country? Russian Revolution. Next, liberty, equality, fraternity, France. Similarly, they may ask us. So the idea of fundamental duties from where we have borrowed? We have borrowed from USSR. Okay, USSR. So next we shall start with the fundamental duties one by one. So already you are able to recall these fundamental duties. To abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. Okay. So to abide by the Constitution, what do we understand by abide? So whatever is there in the Constitution, we'll follow it. Okay, we'll follow it. So we'll abide by it. Okay, we'll abide by it. So what is there in Constitution? There are so many things. Okay, there are so many things. So I will follow all those things. Okay, I'll follow all those things. For example, yesterday we saw that India is what kind of country? Secular country. Okay, so I'll take secularism as an example. Okay, so secularism means all religions are treated equally. It means you have to abide by this principle of secularism. You cannot say that ours is a what Hindu Rashtra, ours is a what Islamic Rashtra. So you have to abide by the principle which lies in the constitution. Okay, secularism. So we have to abide by the principles which are present in constitution and respect its ideals. Okay, there are many ideals which are present in constitution. One ideal is secularism, another one is, for example, socialism is an ideal. Okay, socialism. Which kind of socialism? Communistic socialism or democratic socialism? Democratic socialism. So you have to believe in this socialism. Can you recall similarly few other ideals? Democratic. Okay, so our constitution says that what ours is a democratic country, so we should have belief in that democracy. So it means as a citizen of this country, we should abide by the constitution and respect its ideals. So whatever is there in the constitution, it may be secularism, it may be socialism, it may be democracy or many other values, so you should respect all the values. Okay, you cannot say that I don't want secularism, I want to disrespect it. I don't want socialism, I want capitalism. Okay, I don't want democratism, I want monarchy. Okay, you cannot go and speak against it. So you have to respect the ideals which are present. Okay, you should respect socialism, you should respect what secularism, you should respect democracy, and similarly you have to respect every other value which is present in the constitution. Respect its ideals, respect its institutions. Which are the institutions? Okay, when we say institutions, there are hundreds or thousands of institutions. For example, PMO, Prime Minister's Office, it's an institution. Council of Ministers, it's an institution. Supreme Court is an institution. High Court is an institution. Okay, so in this fashion, whichever organization is present in India, Parliament is an institution. Election Commission, which conducts the elections, is an institution. Comptroller and Auditor General is an institution. Yes. What? I don't get you. Court. Court you are saying? Supreme Court? Okay. Yes, court I have mentioned here. Supreme Court is an institution. High Court is an institution. Okay. UPSC is an institution. So you have to respect its ideals and institutions. For example, the Election Commission, it's conducting elections. It is conducting the elections in a proper way. Okay. You should not unnecessarily doubt it or you should not disrespect it. You have to respect every institution which is present in India. Respect its ideals. Example of ideal: social, secular, many more. Example of an institution, one or two: Supreme Court, High Court, UPSC, Parliament, etc. The national flag. Okay, national flag. So we know about the national flag. Which is our national anthem? Jana Gana Mana. So when it comes to UPSC, they will focus into a deeper aspect of national flag, national anthem. But those things we will be discussing later on. For example, from what perspective they will focus? When it comes to national flag, how many colors are there? 3. On the top we have saffron. In the middle we have white. Below green. Next we have chakra. Right? Ashoka chakra. It consists of how many spokes or lines? 24. Okay. So generally this information all of us know. Okay. Now the second line of information, few of us know, not all of us might not be aware of it. So this chakra we have taken from where? Yes. Lion's capital. Okay. So lion's capital. So what is capital? What is where is Sarnath? So we'll be discussing about all those things later on. The next question is, what should be the ratio of the flag? Okay. If it is 2 centimeter, what should be the size? UPSC has asked this question probably in 2024 or 25. Okay, which are the various standard dimensions available? So this is the depth which UPSC expects when it comes to national flag. This is the depth which it expects when it comes to national anthem. This is the depth which it expects when it comes to national song. Okay, I am just giving you an idea, I am not giving you information. Next time whenever you come across a national flag, so these are the various dimensions in which you are supposed to think. Next, who designed the national flag? Who designed the national flag? Just you can just note down all these points. Later on when you go back, you'll search all these points. Okay, search all these points. So UPSC is not about only the standard book. Okay, the standard books we'll read and we'll clear the examination. It's not like that. What UPSC expects is, are you curious about the things which are around you? Okay, so the curiosity of a common man, where it stops. Okay, from that point onwards, and UPSC aspirants curiosity should begin. Okay, so what are the various things that we will focus? The size. Okay, the dimension, which are the various ratios that is permitted. Okay, who designed the national flag? Presently, the national flag which is unfurled in Parliament, where it is manufactured? Where it is manufactured in Delhi or some other state? To be specific, in Karnataka, which place? Where does the cloth come from? Where does the stitching happen? Which are the important centers where production of national flag takes place? So these are the various dimensions from which you will think. Okay, you will think. So this curiosity is very much important. UPSC does not focus only on the amount of information that you will accumulate. Curiosity driven information accumulation is very important from exam point of view, and also at the same time you need to know where we have to stop, because without knowing where we have to stop, then if you go on accumulating information, then probably you will end up becoming a master. You will do a research, you will start writing a research paper on it. That is not expected. We need to have curiosity, but at the same time we also need to know where we have to stop. Okay, very important. Okay. Next, similarly, respect the national flag and national anthem. Okay, national anthem. Jana Gana Mana. Who wrote it? Rabindranath Tagore. So originally it was written in which language? Yes, Bengali. Presently we sing it, whether it is Bengali or some other language. Bengali. Whether the translation of this national anthem is present in any other language, just you can find it out. Whether there is a translation of national anthem in English, if at all there is a translated version, who translated it? When did they translate? Okay. So Janagana Mana, first time it was sung in which year? These are the various questions that you will ask to yourself. Okay, yourself. So you will not get an answer. So what you will do? You will at least search in the internet. So when you are searching, these are the various questions you have to raise to yourself. Okay, you have to raise to yourself. So just fundamental duty, one statement: to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and national anthem. We should not stop here. A high school student will stop here, but being an UPSC aspirant, we have to go beyond this. Okay, we have to go beyond this. Okay, so first point we understood: to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and national anthem. Okay, national anthem. Example of an institution: Election Commission, Supreme Court, High Court, yes, Parliament. All of them are examples of institutions. Okay, example of ideals: one or two. Secularism, sovereign, okay, socialist. All of them, they are examples of what? Ideals. Okay, ideals. Next, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Okay. So what does it mean? To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. What do we understand by this statement? What do we understand by national struggle? So later on we'll start discussing about the history related aspects, especially modern history. So whether in one single day we got freedom, okay, through one person we got freedom? No, it's not a single person. There were thousands of people. So because of their sacrifice, because of their contribution, finally we got independence in 1947. Okay, but there were many struggles which happened before that. Okay, so generally we'll start from which struggle? 1857 onwards. But even before 1857 also there were struggles. So when it comes to freedom struggles, national struggles, later on as part of the modern history we'll be discussing. The famous struggles are 1857 revolt. What do we call it as? Sepoy Mutiny, or the first war of Indian independence. Okay, we call it as the first war of Indian independence. First war of Indian independence. Okay. Now next, subsequently there are many developments. Okay, we'll be discussing about those developments later on. But when it comes to mass struggle where people fought against the Britishers, the famous is 1905 Swadeshi movement. Swadeshi movement. So again we'll be discussing in detail in the forthcoming history related classes. but just at least at the superficial level we want to connect. Okay, we need to connect. So Swadeshi movement, 1920, there was a non-cooperation movement. Cooperation movement. 1930, civil disobedience movement. Okay, disobedience movement. 1942, Quit India movement. Okay, Quit India movement. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle. Okay, to start the 1857 revolt, what was their inspiration? They wanted to see a what? Free India. Okay, they wanted to see a India where it is sovereign. All the rules and regulations which are required by us, it should be framed by ourselves. Okay, free India. Okay, that is one of the what inspired the national struggle. So can you recall few personalities? Gandhiji, Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh. There are many more personalities. About them we'll be discussing later on. So all of them, they fought in different way. The way was not same. Okay, there were different ways. Again, we come across term called as what? Moderates, extremists and revolutionaries. We'll be discussing about them later on. But if you look at the general inspiration, what was the inspiration for Gandhiji? What was the inspiration for Subhash Chandra Bose? What was the inspiration for Bhagat Singh? They wanted to secure freedom. After getting freedom, they had many other visions as well. They wanted an equal society, okay, or egalitarian society, where all the people of this country are equal. So with such noble vision, with such kind of inspiration, they started the national struggle. It may be what? Non-cooperation movement, Swadeshi movement, or many other movements which they initiated against the Britishers. Okay, Britishers. And because of their sacrifice, today we are enjoying a what? Very easy life. Okay, very easy life. So hence, every day what you have to do? You have to cherish. You have to just recall what are the sacrifices made by these great personalities. Okay, supposedly if they had not made those sacrifices, probably if India was today, even today, if it was under the control of Britishers, then probably we would have not witnessed the type of development that we are witnessing today. Okay, hence we should be thankful to the great personalities. We have to be thankful to the great personalities, and always we should cherish. We should always recall and follow into the footsteps, and we should always recall what things inspired them, okay? And always keep it in front of us and move ahead. Okay, and move ahead. So this is the meaning of the what? Second term. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. So which are the noble ideals here? So one is freedom. We want freedom. Next is we want equality. We want what? We want secularism. No one should fight on the basis of religion. Okay, so these are the various things which inspired our freedom fighters, and hence they initiated the various national struggles, and finally we got freedom. And repeatedly what we have to do on day-to-day basis, we have to cherish and we have to follow these noble ideals. Okay, we should make these noble ideals as part of our life. Okay, as part of our life. Next, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of the nation. So what do we understand by sovereignty? Self-rule. Okay, self-rule. Unity and integrity of the nation. To uphold and protect the sovereignty. What do we understand by uphold and protect the sovereignty? Means we should never involve in an activity which goes against the sovereignty. Okay, sovereignty. For example, if you reveal some secret military related information to a what? Your rival country, let's assume China, some secret information if you reveal, based on that secret information, if they attack us tomorrow, if China starts controlling India, then what happens? Whether the sovereignty will remain or it will be lost? Sovereignty will be lost because will be what? Controlled by some foreign country. Okay, foreign country. So we should not involve in such kind of activity. So when you do not involve in such kind of activity, then what you are doing? You are upholding the sovereignty. You are protecting the sovereignty. If someone else is involved in such kind of activity, you will try to stop him, or you will try to register a case against him, or you will inform the same to some police or other authorities involved. In this fashion, what you do? You uphold, you protect the sovereignty. Okay, you uphold and protect the unity and integrity of the India. So how do you promote unity and integrity of India? Now if you speak something very wrong about other religion, then will the unity be prevailed? It will be lost. Okay, so the words, the choice of words which you make, so you should try to what create a harmony, and it should not create any kind of disturbance. Okay, that's one example. So with that, what you will do, you will uphold and protect the unity. So you will make a demand that I want a separate nation called as Karnataka. I don't want to mingle with Tamilians, I don't want to mingle with Marathigas. So will that mean, will it uphold unity and integrity? No, that regionalism, it will go against the unity and integrity. So you will never make a demand, you will never make such kind of demands. When you do not make such kind of demands, it means you are trying to uphold what? Unity and integrity of the nation. Okay, so in this fashion, regionalism and all these things, they become a threat to unity and integrity. We have seen in the previous class while discussing preamble. So you will never involve in such kind of activities. Okay, activities. So that is the meaning of what? To protect and uphold the sovereignty, unity and integrity of the nation. Okay, integrity of the nation. Next, yesterday we came across this DPSP to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India. So what you will do? You will try to promote harmony, means you will try to ensure that no one fights against one another. So when no one fights with one another, harmony will prevail. Okay, harmony will prevail. And the spirit of common brotherhood, you should create a type of environment where everyone should feel that we are like brothers and sisters. Okay, spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people, transcending religious. So generally, when the harmony will be lost, when that spirit of brotherhood or common brotherhood will be lost, when you start fighting based on religion, you are a Hindu, you are a Muslim, you are a Christian. So based on this, when you start fighting, then what happens? Harmony will be lost. Spirit of common brotherhood will be lost. So when you overcome such religious based differences, then you can establish harmony. Then you can establish what? Spirit of common brotherhood. Hence, transcending means you have to go beyond the religious aspects. Then itself you will be able to build harmony. Then itself you will be able to what? Build the spirit of common brotherhood. Okay, common brotherhood. You have to go beyond religion. Okay, transcending linguistic. Okay, so sometimes people fight based on the language. Okay, I don't like Tamilians, I don't like Marathigas, I don't like people who speak Hindi. So this is what linguistic based discrimination. Okay, so when this is present, linguism is present, what happens? There will be no harmony. People will start fighting with one another based on language. So spirit of common brotherhood cannot be established. Hence, in order to establish a spirit of common brotherhood, in order to establish that harmony, what you have to do? You have to go beyond, you have to transcend linguistic thoughts. You have to go beyond the language or linguistic thoughts. Transcending regional or sectional diversities. Regional means, okay, South India, North India, Northeast India. Okay, so in that sense, you have to transcend even those boundaries as well. Okay, even those boundaries as well. And or sectional diversities. For example, within a society, for example, upper section, lower section, or we can take an example. So we are all doctors. Okay, we don't want to mingle with others. We don't want to mingle with engineers. We are lawyers. Okay, we don't want to mingle with teachers. So such kind of what? Sectional diversities, we need to overcome them. Then itself we will be able to what? Establish harmony, establish a spirit of common brotherhood. Okay, common brotherhood, very important. So to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood, by transcending what all? Religious, linguistic, regional and sectional diversities. Okay, diversities, very important. Next, to renounce practices. What is renounce? To give up. Practices derogatory to dignity of woman. What is derogatory? Which is against the dignity of the woman. Which is against the dignity of woman. So, which can you just recall one or two practices which we listed yesterday? Sati system. Next, dowry. Next, triple talaq. Next, female feticide. Okay, so all these are examples of what? So practices derogatory to dignity of women. Okay, we should stop such kind of practices. Okay, stop such kind of practices. Next, to you value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. So what do we understand by composite culture? First, what do we understand by culture? What does this culture term mean? Because again we have an art and culture, a separate subject itself. Okay. Yes. Okay. Sanskriti. So yes. People's practices. Can you give me a few examples of culture? Okay. The type of attire, the dress we wear, it speaks about the culture. The type of culture which prevails in southern India, it does not prevail in the northern part of India. Okay. For example, Punjabi culture is quite different from what? Karnataka culture. So one is attire. The dress we wear. Can you give me a few more examples? Food. Okay. So dietary habits. Dietary habit. So generally in the southern part of India, we consume more rice. In the northern part of India, they consume what? Wheat. Okay. Wheat. Next. Festivals, very important. So festivals. So whether same festival is celebrated across India, there are some common secular festivals. For example, January 26, August 15. Okay. But apart from that, all the other festivals, they are regional festivals. So the type of festival which is present in India may not be present in other part of India. Okay, other part of India. So festivals, it speaks about the culture. Next. Yes. Dress, already attire is over. Dance forms. Dance forms. Next. Language. Okay. Language is a component of culture. Okay. Next. Temple and temple architecture. Temple architecture. So these are some of the components which are part of or components of culture. Okay, components of culture. So we have a composite culture. So just to make the discussion easier, what do we understand by composite culture? Ours is not a single culture, it's a mixed culture. For example, here in India we have Hindus, we have Muslims, we have Buddhists, we have Jains. Okay, for example, Hindus related temple. Okay, so Muslims related some famous domes. So Buddhist related, for example, some famous stupas. Okay, similarly related to Jainism. So all these are elements of the culture. Okay, elements of the culture. For example, if I take with respect to Hindus, so for example, Hampi. Okay, Hampi is a famous site for Hindus. So let's take Virupaksha temple. Virupaksha temple. When it comes to Muslim architecture, for example, Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal. When it comes to Buddhism related, so the famous place is Ajanta. In Ajanta, we have famous monuments related to Buddhism. When it comes to Jainism, for example, Mount Abu. Mount Abu in Rajasthan. Mount Abu, Rajasthan. So ours is a composite culture. It's not a single culture, it's a composite culture, a mixed culture. A mixed culture. The rich heritage of our composite culture. So if a single culture is there, then it would have not been that much rich. But as we have the components of different culture, so our culture is what? Very rich. So this rich heritage is there, right? So we have to value and preserve. Means we should not only protect Hinduism related monuments, we should not protect only Islam related monuments, we should not protect only Buddhism related monuments. We have to give equal value to all the monuments and all the cultural aspects of different religions. Okay, religions. So that is the meaning of this term. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. If you are taking some effort, you are making some efforts to preserve the monuments at Hampi. Similarly, you should make an effort to preserve the monument that is Taj Mahal. Similarly, you should make an effort to preserve the monuments which are present in what? Ajanta. Similarly, you should make an effort to preserve the place of Mount Abu. Okay. In this fashion, what you do? You value. You also preserve. What do you preserve? The rich heritage of the composite culture. Okay, composite culture. So these things we should decipher. So gradually over a period of time, all these things, these examples, instantaneously you should be able to generate. Okay. So this instantaneous generation is possible when you have a wide knowledge. So gradually over a period of time, when we cover different subjects, for example, geography, art and culture, okay, international relations, environment. So when there is a diversity of knowledge, automatically you will be able to what? generate the examples instantaneously. Okay, instantaneously. But next time, whenever you ask your question, you should be able to tell. Give me an example of a composite culture. Hindus one temple, Islam's one architecture. So at least one thing you should be able to recall. To protect and improve the natural environment. To protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Okay. To protect and improve natural environment. So which are the components of natural environment? Grades of the given. Forest is a component of natural environment. Lake is a component of natural environment. River is a component of natural environment. Wildlife is a component of natural environment. So what do we understand by wildlife? Plants or animals? Or both? So when we say wildlife, it includes both plants as well as animals. Okay, wildlife. So generally wildlife is present where? In forest. Okay. So what we should do? So can you give me an example of protecting the forest? And similarly an example to improve the forest. Protecting the forest. Give me an example of to protect forest. I want one example, and to improve the forest I want another example. Yes. Stop cutting the trees. So one is stop cutting the trees. This is an example of what? Protecting the forest. Okay. Can you give me an example of improving the forest? Yes. Afforestation. So afforestation is an example of what? Means planting new trees is an example of afforestation. In this fashion, what you do? You protect the forest and also you improve the forest. Okay. You improve the forest. Similarly, can you give me an example of? Protecting the lake and improving the lake? So the concept of lake is very important from exam point of view. Okay. So probably in the forthcoming classes, when we start discussing about environment, okay. So UPSC repeatedly focuses on what? Lakes, and especially these lakes are part of Ramsar wetlands. Okay. Now what I will do is today I will give you a homework. Okay. I'll just give you a homework. So Ramsar wetlands, tiger reserves, national parks, and biosphere reserves. Okay, biosphere reserves. So Ramsar wetlands, tiger reserves, national parks, biosphere reserves, and wildlife sanctuaries. Wildlife sanctuaries. Okay. So these are the various entities which are created to protect and improve the natural environment. Okay. So these are the various entities created to protect and improve natural environment. Okay, natural environment. But these will come as part of environment. Okay, these will come as part of environment. Very important topic. Okay, gradually we will discuss in the forthcoming classes. But from now itself, I want you to start with some process. Okay, I want you to start with some process. What we will do is, first we shall start with tiger resource. We shall start with tiger resource. So what you do tomorrow? See, you should commit yourself. Without committing yourself, you will not be able to keep yourself on track. So today, if I have given work, by tomorrow you should complete and you should show it to me. You will make a list of what? You will make a list of what? Tiger resource in India. Okay, tigers. Again, in the internet, just search, copy paste will not work. I want you to write the list of all the tiger resource with your own handwriting. Okay, don't ask others to write. You will write on your own. Okay, you will maintain what kind of book? Unruled book. So probably that book will be for environment itself, a separate book for environment. First, there will be multiple rounds. Now first you will start with the first round. Okay, first round is you list all the tiger resource. Okay, tiger resource, and correspondingly you will write the state name. Correspondingly you will write the state name. I hope you are aware of few tiger resources. Can you recall one or two tiger resources? Bandipur, Nagarhole. So these are the famous what tiger reserves of Karnataka. But I want you to list the tiger reserves of entire India. There are approximately around 57 tiger reserves. There are approximately 57 tiger reserves, and every year one or two additions will be there. Now I want you to list all the tiger reserves, and by tomorrow's class you should be ready. When I ask you about a tiger reserve, you should be able to recall the corresponding state. Okay, if I say Kaziranga, where is Kaziranga located? Assam. Okay, if I ask you about a tiger reserve called as Ranthambore, Rajasthan. If I ask you about a tiger reserve called as Simlipal, Odisha. Okay, now few of you who have been preparing from long time, you are aware of it, but those who want to initiate, those who are not aware of it, okay, you'll prepare a list of tiger reserve. If possible, I will be sharing the site also, okay, in which website the clear information is available. So tiger reserves and the corresponding state. Now this much information is sufficient. Gradually over a period of time, I will start building the extra content that is required from the exam point of view. But the first exercise we will start with tiger reserve. After 2 to 3 days, we shall start with national parks, then Ramsar wetlands, and then biosphere reserves, and gradually the important wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, wildlife sanctuaries. So these are the various entities that have been created to protect and improve the natural environment. Okay, natural environment. It may be for forest or it may be for lakes and all those things. Okay, all those things. So we'll complete this exercise. Okay. So forest we saw. Similarly, can you just recall one example to protect lake and another example to improve lake? 1, 2. To protect lake. Just one simple example, any example. Let's assume there is a lake here. So to protect lake, what you will do? You will place some dustbins here. So people who go for a walking, so rather than throwing the plastic in the lake, they will throw it in the dustbin. So can this be considered as a step towards protecting the lake? Yes, okay, protecting the lake. So let's assume this is a protection step. Improve the lake. So already let's assume the lake has been polluted because of some reasons. Okay, some reasons. So what you will do? You will go and clean the lake. Okay, so keeping the bins to place the waste is an example of protection. Okay, going and cleaning the lake is improve. So to protect and improve the environment, including lakes. Okay, lakes. Similarly, it extends for rivers as well. Okay, for rivers as well. For example, you will not. The best example for river is industrial effluent. So in industry, whatever the waste is being generated, generally that waste will be released into the river. Okay, released into the river. Now, what do we understand by protection of rivers in this context? In the context of industrial waste, what do we understand? We'll give a notice to the industries that you will not release any kind of waste into the rivers. This is an example of what? Protection. Improvement of rivers, cleaning the rivers. Cleaning the rivers is an example of improvement. In this fashion, protection and improvement of rivers. Protect wildlife, improve wildlife. Example of protection of wildlife. Stop killing or poaching. So generally wildlife is killed for various purposes. For international trade, for earning money, for medicinal benefits, for many reasons. Wildlife is being harmed. Okay, wildlife is being harmed, which includes both plants and animals. Okay, so there are some plant species which are used for medicinal benefits. But if you continuously start using the plant species, then probably a day may come when that species may become completely extinct. Again, that is not good. Okay. Similarly, animals also, that poaching has to be poaching has to be stopped. Okay, poaching has to be stopped. That is an example to protect. How to improve the wildlife? So let's assume the population of few species has already come down. Okay. So what measures you will take to improve the population? So in India, the famous species had become extinct. Which was that species? Not tiger. Tigers are there significantly. We introduced that species from Africa into India. If you have learned, yes, cheetah. Okay. So once cheetahs were present in India, they became extinct. So in order to build the cheetah species in India, what we did, we brought some species of cheetah from Africa and we introduced it in India. Now gradually, as part of the current affairs, we will learn many more things. We brought the cheetahs from which country in Africa? Example, Namibia. Example, South Africa. In India, where exactly we introduced? Okay, so these things we will be discussing later on. But for time being, one example will be sufficient. What is an example of improvement of wildlife? So the species which had become extinct, we started rebuilding the species by bringing it from some other country. We created a conducive environment for it. Okay, conducive environment for it. Similarly, building of what? Tiger reserves, national parks, all these are examples of what? Protecting and improving the wildlife. Okay, these are steps aimed at protecting and improving the wildlife. Okay, wildlife. Okay, in this fashion you should be able to break down the points of fundamental duties. Okay, fundamental duties. To develop the scientific temper, humanism, I think one point we forgot here, and to have compassion for all living creatures. Okay, we need to have compassion for living creatures. What is compassion? Yes, we should care for all the living creatures. Okay, we should care for all the living creatures. Okay, again later on we shall see. So compassion does not mean so whether we have to become a vegetarian. So there is a meaning of compassion. Okay, no. Okay, so should we use chicken or not? Should we consume chicken or not? Chicken and mutton? Yes, definitely you can consume. It's not about the dietary. So compassion means we need to have care for it. So when you are killing it, for example, for your food and all, you should not give any kind of pain in a single cut. Okay, so it should live its life in that fashion. So you should need to have a compassion for all the creatures. Okay, all the creatures. So to develop scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. So this is very important. So develop scientific temper. What is scientific temper? Example of scientific temper. Means for everything we should try to find a reason. We should not believe something blindly. Okay, if someone says something, if someone says milk is black, you should not accept it. So before that you have to just look into the milk and then confirm whether its color is black or white. Okay, that's an example of scientific temper. So you know how they'll say, so in the night time you should not go out. Okay, on the full moon day, on the new moon day, on Amavasya you should not go out. Okay, so why you should not go out? There should be some reason, right? So that is called as scientific temper. So continuously we need to have a curiosity. Okay, so because of the scientific temper itself, the progress has taken place. Now there are many people, when they see a flying bird, so they'll be amused by it. But there are few other people. So how does this bird fly? Can I fly like that? That is scientific temper. Because of that thought process, so Wright brothers, what they did? They introduced flight. Okay, in that fashion, that scientific temper is very, very important for the human progress. Okay, so scientific temper should be there. Next, humanism. So we need to have that basic humanism and spirit of inquiry. So all of them are same. Spirit of inquiry means not accepting anything blindly. Okay, not accepting anything blindly. Similarly, a 4th century, some Western philosopher has very, very famously quoted, I think Aristotle itself, the mark of an educated mind. The mark of an educated mind is to keep entertaining things without actually accepting it. There's a very slight difference. When someone is saying something, you'll just nod your head, but you'll not accept it. Afterwards, you will cross-verify. Then itself you will accept. Okay, that is a mark of an educated mind. Okay, so easily we should not get influenced by others. There are many people who try to influence us, but before accepting those thoughts, we have to cross-verify. That is the meaning of what? Spirit of inquiry. Okay, spirit of inquiry. Then itself, what we'll be able to make progress. Now, someone said, what they said? So sun revolves around the earth. Sun revolves around the earth. But later on, at that time, who said that sun revolves around the earth? That theory was considered as right. And someone who said that earth moves around the sun, so he was punished. He was punished. But at least he had the capacity to question that thought, whether really sun revolves around the earth or earth revolves around the sun. So based on that, what spirit of inquiry itself, human progress has been able to reach to this level. Okay, to this level. Hence very important. So scientific temper should be there, humanism should be there, spirit of inquiry should be there. Okay, spirit of inquiry should be there. Later on again we will be connecting these topics to different subjects. It may be polity or it may be history and all. So we will be connecting. Next, to safeguard public property and abjure violence. So what is abjure? What is the meaning of word abjure? Stop. We should stop violence. Okay, we should stop violence. To safeguard public property. Example of public property. Yes, public property. Okay, hospitals. Okay, next, public transportation. For example, train, bus, road, schools, colleges, etc. There are so many examples. All of them, they are what? Public property. Public property. So we have to safeguard public property. How we use our resources in our home, in a similar fashion, we should also use the public resources as well. Okay. So we should safeguard public property and abjure violence. We should not involve ourselves in any kind of violent behavior. Okay, violent behavior. Next. To strive towards excellence. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. Okay, achievement. So what does it mean? So nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. So nation constantly rises to new level of achievement. Can you give me an example of a nation's achievement, or to be specific, India's achievement? We can take different different domains. So we took sports as an example. Next. Space as an example. Next. Yes. Defense as an example. Next. Economy as an example. Next. Medicine field as an example. Law field as an example. There are various different domains. In all the field, India should constantly rise to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. If you take sports as an example, what will be an achievement? Just winning in cricket is an achievement? Okay, no doubt it is part of it. But cricket is not the only sports. There are many other sports as well. Individual athletics. Okay, so if someone secures a gold medal in Olympics, can it be called as an individual's achievement or India's achievement? It's India's achievement. Okay, so 100 meters running Olympics gold medal, it's an example of what? India's achievement. Okay, India's achievement. Now similarly, when if a Indian cricket team wins in the international tournament, so whether it will be considered as their achievement or India's achievement? Okay, India's achievement. So cricket. Okay, cricket. You shall take cricket as an example. If you take 100-meter running and cricket, there is a difference. In 100-meter, who will contribute? Individual or team? Individual. In cricket, as a team. To strive towards excellence in all spheres means we have to try to become excellent in every sphere of individual and collective activity. Okay, individual activity 100-meter race, collective activity cricket. So in all these spheres we should become excellent. So only when we become excellent, then we can take our nation to greater heights and endeavors. So sports as an example. Similarly, if we take some other example, if we take space as an example, the space as an example. Yes, Mars mission. Okay, Google. Mangalayana. Okay, so Mangalayana. So whether Mangalayana was possible because of one person? No. If someone, let's assume he had discovered something new, if he had invented something new, and he said that because of my invention only I should get award, I should not share this information with others. That is called as individual excellence. Okay, but he is not contributing anything to the nation. So you should not only excel individually, but also you should excel collectively. Then itself we can take the nation to greater heights. So space, as you mentioned, Mangalayana. Okay, so team effort. Then itself we can take the nation to greater heights. Okay, if you take some other example, for example, medicine as an example. In 2020, because of the COVID, we faced the challenges. Okay, so there are so many death cases and all. So all of a sudden there was a need to invent what? A vaccine. Okay, so the two famous vaccines, one is Covaxin, another one is Covishield. So whether it's an individual effort, no doubt some scientists might have worked individually, but later on to produce it in a large scale, we require a group effort. So when that group effort, team effort was made, so did it take the nation to new endeavors and achievements? Yes, obviously we saved so many lives. So this was all possible because of individual excellence and collective excellence. Okay, hence we have to strive towards excellence not only in individual capacity but also in a collective capacity, so that our nation is taken to new heights. Okay, our nation reaches great heights and achieve something great. Okay, so achieve something new. So these are the list of fundamental duties. There is one more fundamental duty. Okay, the last one, but now it has been slightly diluted. Some parts have become part of fundamental rights and all, hence not important. You only focus on these 10 fundamental rights. Okay, these 10 fundamental rights. So next time, whenever I ask you to recall these fundamental duties, these 10 fundamental duties are sufficient. Next time, whenever I ask you to recall, okay, you should be able to recall verbatim. Okay, that sequence is not important. Okay, one by one that sequence A, B, C, D is not important, but you should be able to recall these what fundamental duties. Now in the prelims also they may ask how they will frame a question. They will give a particular word. Okay, how they will give, for example, to protect and improve natural environment. To protect and improve natural environment is part of option number 1 preamble. 2 fundamental rights. Option number 3 directive principles of state policy. Option number 4 fundamental duties. Okay, you should be able to identify. To identify that, we need to have that rote memorization. We have understood the concept, but at the same time, we also need to be able to recall the fundamental duties. Okay, recall the fundamental duties. Okay, duties. And also in mains, wherever required. Generally in the examination, they are not going to ask you list the fundamental duties which are present. No. So UPSC is next level. When you are writing some answer instantaneously, you should be able to connect different topics. So fundamental right related to things, fundamental right related some things you should be able to connect. Fundamental duty related things you should be able to connect. Directive principles of state policy related things you should be able to connect. So you should be able to generate instantaneous answers, and there you will not list all these fundamental duties. Randomly one of the fundamental duty will pick and you will insert it in the answer. And for that practice, okay, for that practice, the first step that we have to do is we need to learn the list of fundamental duties. Okay, fundamental duties. So with this discussion, we have concluded another topic called as fundamental duties. Okay, fundamental duties. Okay. So we'll take a break of 10 minutes. After that, again we should continue. No. Hello. Okay. So we have completed with the topic of Parliament. Next we discussed about preamble. Then we completed fundamental duties. Okay. So in tomorrow's class, we'll start discussing about directive principles of state policy. Okay. So I was about to start today itself, but as it's a bit lengthy, so we'll not be able to cover in a span of 1 hour. So I'll postpone it to tomorrow. So I'll be sharing the notes as well. Okay. Today in the application, I'll be sharing the notes. You just go through the content. Okay. So there are two versions of the DPSP I'll be sharing. One is the original constitution, and next Lakshmikant based notes which I have made. Okay. So we'll be discussing both the things separately in the tomorrow's class. So in this class we shall start with what? An important topic called as Council of Ministers. Now we'll be very easily able to connect with this topic because we have already learnt about the same. So we have learnt many things, right? We have learnt about Parliament. We have learnt about executive. Okay. So when I say Central Council of Ministers, we are pointing to the legislative body or executive body. Yes, we are pointing to executive body. So what kind of executive it is? A permanent executive or non-permanent executive? We are pointing to non-permanent executive. So in India, executive is responsible to legislature or legislature is responsible to executive? Executive is responsible to legislature. To be specific, Council of Ministers is responsible to Parliament or Lok Sabha. Okay, so Council of Ministers is responsible to Lok Sabha. So all these things, this background already we have. So because of that, we will be able to move through this topic in a very faster manner. Okay, faster manner. Okay, so during the discussion of Parliament, we came across that Council of Ministers. So generally they are members of Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha. True or false? Generally. Okay, generally. But there are exceptions as well. A person who is neither a member of Lok Sabha nor a member of Raj Sabha can also become minister. Okay, for how many days? 6 months. Within 6 months he should get elected, or even he can get nominated as well. He can get nominated as well. The concept of nomination, it applies to Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha? It applies to Raj Sabha. Okay, Raj Sabha. Among Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, which one is a permanent house? Raj Sabha. So whether any of the members retire, how many members? After how many years? 2 years. Who are the presiding officers in Raj Sabha? Chairman and Deputy Chairman. Presiding officers in Lok Sabha? Speaker and Deputy Speaker. All those things we have discussed. So next, let's begin with what? Central Council of Ministers. So if possible, if you want to go through the book, you can go through the book once the what discussion is complete. The discussion is complete. So generally we use a term called as Union Executive. Why? Because we also want to separate the Union Executive from the State Executive. We also want to separate the Union Executive from the State Executive. So all these days, whenever we were using a term called as executive, we were referring only to Council of Ministers. We are referring only to Council of Ministers. But officially, the term Union Executive, it consists of multiple members apart from the Council of Ministers. So hence, first thing that we need to understand here is Union Executive consists of President, it consists of Vice President, it consists of Prime Minister, it consists of Union Council of Ministers, it consists of Attorney General of India. Okay, very important. Now, if I ask you the definition of Parliament, what does Parliament consist of? Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, and President. Next time when I ask you about Union Executive, who all are part of Union Executive? What should be the list? President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, Attorney General of India. But in the previous discussions, generally we took only Council of Ministers, and the subsequent discussions also, generally we will be considering only the Council of Ministers. But formally, the term Union Executive consists of all of them. Okay, all of them. So our constitution, what kind of system do we have? Parliamentary system of government. Okay. So in the previous class we discussed, apart from the parliamentary kind of system, what is the other kind of system? Okay, the democratic system, presidential form of government. So can you give me an example of a country where presidential form of government exists? USA. India, it is parliamentary form of government. In the previous discussion, we saw an important feature of parliamentary form of government. What is it? Responsible to Lok Sabha. Executive being responsible to legislature is an important feature of parliamentary system. Okay, parliamentary system. So as per our constitution, ours is a parliamentary system. Okay, so there are different types of parliamentary system in different parts of the world. But what kind of parliamentary system have we adopted? We are adopted on British pattern. Why British pattern? because they have ruled us. Okay, after they went, so we have retained that parliamentary form of government. Again, there are some advantages also. We'll be discussing about those advantages when we start discussing about a topic called as parliamentary system. For time being, we should understand that as per our constitution, what kind of system it is? Ours is a parliamentary system. So based on which pattern? British pattern. Okay, British pattern. Okay. So here, in this parliamentary system, Council of Ministers is headed by Prime Minister. Okay, Prime Minister head of Council of Ministers. Okay, Council of Ministers. Next, here we come across few articles. So these article numbers are important. So already we have listed some articles which are important during the discussion of our previous topic. Can you just recall those articles once again? 266. Okay, 266 deals with Consolidated Fund of India. Next, Contingency Fund of India is dealt by which article? 267. Next, Public Account is dealt by which article? 260. So 266 we have discussed. 267 is there. Apart from these, have you come across any other article numbers? Yes, budget. The term budget is mentioned in which article of the Constitution? The term budget is nowhere present in the Constitution. So instead of budget, what is the term that is present in the Constitution? Annual financial statement. Which article? 112. Next, 110. 110 deals with what? Money bill. It deals with money bill. Financial bills 1 and 2, 117. Okay, 117. Not that important. So this is some of the what articles which we have discussed. And during the starting of the parliament itself, we listed the range of articles which deal with parliament. Which were the range of articles? 79 to 122. Okay. Here each and every article 79, 80, 81, 82, all of them are not important. Just we need to know that the range of articles deal with parliament. Okay, parliament. Now we'll go on adding. Okay, we'll go on adding. Now here we come across another article called as article number 74. Okay. So initially when we begin preparation, there is a lot of enthusiasm. We feel that everything below the sun we should accumulate. We need to know article number 1, we need to know article number 2, 50, 51, 52, all the 400 articles. Okay. That initial enthusiasm will gradually dissipate. Okay, it will come down. Okay. So your confidence will break. So hence, please don't be under such kind of wrong illusion that I have to become a Sarvajna. Okay, you cannot become. You have to become jack of all the subjects. Okay, and jack from the exam point of view. Okay, from the exam point of view. Hence, many article numbers will be skipping. Will not be interested in the article numbers. Will be only interested in the messages which are present in those article numbers. But here, article number is also equally important. So article number 74. It says there should be a council of minister which is headed by Prime Minister. Is headed by Prime Minister. Aid and advise President, and President has to act accordingly. See, notes is very crispy, so that at the time of examination you should be able to revise it in a faster manner. But based on this crisp notes, you should be able to frame a sentence. Frame a sentence, and this is possible only when you practice. Once you understand, using your natural language itself, you should be able to frame a statement. You should be able to frame a statement. What does it mean? Council of Ministers. COM indicates Council of Ministers. So headed by whom? Prime Minister. So Council of Ministers is headed by Prime Minister. Okay. Aid and advise President. It means they will give advice in what fashion you have to work. In what fashion you have to work. So generally we come across this term aid and advise repeatedly. Who will aid and advise whom? President to Prime Minister, Prime Minister to President. Prime Minister to President. Okay, President. Sometimes I will be using the terms interchangeably. If I use only the term Prime Minister, that also means we are pointing to Council of Ministers itself. Don't get confused. Whether Prime Minister alone is advising, no. When Prime Minister advises, it is equivalent to what? Council of Ministers advising President. Okay, advising President. So President will act accordingly. So can you give me an example of where Council of Ministers will advise President and President will act accordingly? Yes. Dissolution of Lok Sabha. Okay. That once in a while it can happen. In day-to-day life, what are the things where the Council of Ministers will aid and advise President? Example. So what are the various functions which President does? Can you just recall one or two examples? Summon, prorogue. Have you come across that? So summon is done by President, whether it's a discretionary power or based on the words of Prime Minister, he will summon. Words of Prime Minister. When he prorogues, discretionary or Prime Minister's words? Based on the Prime Minister's words, he will summon. Based on the Prime Minister's words, he will prorogue. Okay, prorogue. Now we have seen various different types of bills. We came across ordinary bill, we came across money bill, we came across constitutional amendment bill. Okay, so these bills, after being passed in Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, they require president's signature. So now president, whether he has to sign or he should not sign, whether it is his individual choice, whether it is his discretionary power or it is based on the advice of prime minister. Yes, whether it is his discretionary power. So whenever I use a term called as discretionary power, it means on his own will. So whether it is a discretionary power or based on the aid and advice of prime minister. Very important. Everything is based on the aid and advice of prime minister. Nothing will happen on discretionary basis except in exceptional cases. What is that exceptional case? When prime minister and council of ministers, they lose the confidence of the Lok Sabha. Only in that exceptional situation, president will use the discretionary power. Until that point, president cannot use any kind of discretionary power. So whatever the power he exercises, it will be based on the aid and advice of the council of ministers. A very important point to note. Okay, a very important point to note. So none of the works are executed by president on his own will. He will not exercise discretionary power except in exceptional situations. Okay, so hence in almost all the cases it will be based on the aid and advice of the council of ministers. To summon, prime minister should advise. To prorogue, prime minister should advise. To sign a bill, prime minister should advise. Prime minister should advise. Okay, so very important. Next, president reconsidered advice binding. So article number 74 says that when prime minister advises president, so prime minister says that you have to sign on the marriage bill 2026. Already the bill has been passed by Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. Now you have to sign it. It will become an act. So president, whether he has a choice of sending it back. Okay. Now once the prime minister advises, okay, so president can once send it back. Okay, once send it back. But after that, when it is returned back, to president, okay, then he does not have an option. He has to sign. Okay, he has to sign. So very important. So reconsidered advice. So president will send back to prime minister saying that I am feeling something is not good. Please consider it once. After that, when the prime minister sends it back to president, it is binding on president. He has to sign. Okay, he has to sign. Very important. Very important. No court inquiry on the confidence relationship. The confidence relationship between whom? Between prime minister and president. So whatever the prime minister's advice to president, no one can question it, including the courts. It may be Supreme Court or it may be High Court. No one can ask prime minister, why you ask the president to summon at this time? Why you ask the president to prorogue at this time? Why you ask the president to sign this bill? No one can question it. Okay, very important. So no court inquiry of the confidence relationship between prime minister and president. Okay, president. Here article number 74 is very important. Okay, so very important. So generally they are never asked, but there are chances that they may ask. For example, president should act as per the aid and advice of the prime minister or the council of ministers headed by prime minister. So which article of the constitution speaks about it? Article number 74. Okay, article number 74. No courts can inquire into the confidential relationship between the prime minister and president. Which article speaks about it? Article number 74. So this kind of clarity, okay, when you are reading, these are the questions which you have to raise to ourselves, because in what way we have to register the information is equally important. Ultimately, what we have to do, we have to register the information, but information can be registered in our brain in some fashion. We have to give some order. When you present this order, then in the question and answer format, easily it will start registering the information. Next, article number 75, very important. So this is also important. So president is elected or appointed. Sorry, prime minister is elected or appointed. Yes. Okay, so this is a very thin difference. Actually, prime minister is appointed. Prime minister is appointed. Okay. So who appoints him? President. So prime minister is appointed by president. Prime Minister is appointed by President. Now the confusion arises. If that is the case, then why do we require election? So President can appoint any person of his choice as Prime Minister? No, there is a restriction. Okay, there is a restriction. So about that restriction, we will be looking into it later on. So President should appoint the leader of the majority party himself as Prime Minister. Okay, for example, we took example during the discussion of Parliament. So to form a government, so which house is responsible? Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha? Only Lok Sabha. Raj Sabha does not have a role to play. No doubt Raj Sabha can send a few of its members as ministers, but in order to decide who is going to form the government, who is going to form the council of ministers, who will play a role? Lok Sabha will play a role. Okay, Lok Sabha will play a role. So here let's assume BJP 300, Congress 200, JDS 43. Okay, 43. So let's assume, so we have Modi here we have Rahul Gandhi, here we have Kumaraswamy. Okay. So President appoints PM. So whether President has a discretion, can he call Rahul Gandhi and make him as PM? Can he call Kumaraswamy and make him as PM? No. President does not have a choice. President has to appoint a person as a PM who is a leader of the majority party. So here, which is the majority party? BJP. So all the 300 MPs of BJP, they'll write a letter. They'll say, our leader is Modi. Our leader is Modi. All the 300 members will sign. After signing, when they present it to President, then President will understand that Modi is the leader of the majority party, and then he will appoint Modi as Prime Minister. Okay, Modi as Prime Minister. Similarly, if Congress secures majority, we don't know when it will secure, but probably if it secures, then if the Congress party, all the members, if they sign and say that Rahul Gandhi should be the Prime Minister, then Rahul Gandhi will become Prime Minister. He will be appointed as Prime Minister. Similarly, if Kumaraswamy, tomorrow at some point of time, if no party comes to power to majority on its own, then because of coalition, there are chances that even he may become Prime Minister. Okay. So what we need to understand here is, Prime Minister is not elected, Prime Minister is appointed. Appointed by whom? President. Under which article of the Constitution? Article number 75 of the Constitution. Whether President has a choice to appoint any person of his choice, there are situations wherein he has a choice. Some situations. About those situations probably we will be discussing later on. Now in the same situation, in the same place, if we take BJP 250, Congress also 250, JDS 43. JDS 43. In this situation, who will be appointed as Prime Minister? Okay. Now none of them are able to join hands. So BJP has declared Modi as their leader. Congress has declared Rahul Gandhi as their leader. Okay. JDS has declared Kumaraswamy as their leader. Okay. And none of them, they want to join hands. Means BJP and JDS are not willing to join hands. Congress and JDS are also not willing to join hands. At this point of time, President will have a choice. He can exercise a discretionary power. He can exercise discretionary power. What is a discretionary power? He can call any person of his choice and make him a Prime Minister. Okay, Prime Minister. After making him Prime Minister, he will give him a time of 1 month. Okay, he will give him a time of 1 month. Within 1 month, you have to prove that you have a support of more than 273 members. Okay, so in this situation, what happens? President, he need not necessarily appoint Prime Minister Modi. He need not necessarily appoint Rahul Gandhi. He may even call Kumaraswamy as well. Okay, he will call Kumaraswamy and he will appoint him as Prime Minister, and he will give him 1 month of time. Within 1 month of time, he has to prove in the floor of the house that he has a majority of 273 members. Okay, 273 members. But generally that will not happen. Okay, they will form a coalition. I am just giving you an example where the President can use his discretionary power. Okay, discretionary power. Here we understood that Prime Minister is appointed by President. Okay, President, the leader of the majority party, will be appointed as Prime Minister by President. Now, when the Lok Sabha members are declaring their leader, is it necessary that he should be from Lok Sabha itself? No, he can be from Raj Sabha. Can he declare some other third person who is neither a member of Lok Sabha and nor a member of Raj Sabha as their leader? Yes, that is also possible, because in India, without being a member of either Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha, a person can remain minister, including the Prime Minister, for a period of 6 months. Okay, 6 months. Okay. Next, ministers. Apart from Prime Minister, we have around 50 ministers, okay, who are part of Council of Ministers. So who is going to appoint ministers? Ministers are also appointed by President. Ministers are also appointed by President. Now in case of Prime Minister, the leader of the majority party was appointed as Prime Minister. Then among the 300 people and some people from Rajya Sabha, who should be appointed as minister? President will appoint, but based on what? Based on Prime Minister's advice. Very important. So person is appointed as a minister by whom? President. But based on whose advice? Prime Minister. So this is very important. Okay. So which article deal with it? 75. Okay, 75. So what does article number 74 deal with? President should act based on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. Article number 75 says that Prime Minister should be appointed by President. Next, Minister should be appointed by President based on Prime Minister's advice. Okay, Prime Minister's advice. Okay, so all these things are important. So now this is very important. So I have mentioned there are so many amendments, close to 105 amendments. Now each and every amendment is not important. So there are some amendments which are important. Already we have come across one such amendment, which is that 42nd amendment. So 42nd amendment we discussed in the context of preamble. We discussed in the context of fundamental duties. Okay. So what kind of changes were brought through 42nd amendment to preamble? 3 words were introduced: social, secular and integrity. So what kind of changes were brought to fundamental duties through 42nd amendment? Entire fundamental duty topic itself was added through 42nd amendment. Now similarly there is one more such amendment, 91st amendment, which took place in 2003. A very important amendment. Okay, very important amendment. Okay. So Prime Minister plus Council of Ministers should be less than or equal to 15%. So what does it mean? I'll just take one example. Okay. Less than 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. Okay, Lok Sabha. So what does it mean? Now in Lok Sabha we have 543 members. Okay, 43 members. So if you make 15% of it, what does it mean? Approximately what value we get? Approximately 10% means 55. Another approximately 25. Okay, 25 means approximately I'll take it as 80. Means 80. So 15% of 543 is 80. Okay, is 80. So as per the 91st constitutional amendment, there is a limit. What is the limit? When you are appointing as ministers, so total Council of Ministers plus Prime Minister, total it should not cross 80. It should not cross 80. Okay. So why this amendment was brought? Because there are some misuse. For example, now we took an example of coalition government. Let's assume BJP 250, Congress 250, JDS 43. Now none of them are in majority. Now BJP and JDS they want to join hands. But here in BJP there are senior players who have been winning elections from a very long period of time. So many of them are willing to become ministers. And which one is the most remunerative post? Just MP or minister? Okay, not remunerative, powerful position is minister post. Okay, because you have the financial power and all. So each and every MP generally they have an aspiration to become what? Minister. So all the 250 members of BJP are interested to become ministers. Okay, similarly JDS they are also interested to become ministers. Now what happens? To uphold the interests of everyone, what they will do? So they will make around 150 ministers, people from here, and all the 43. So let's assume 193 people they become ministers. So the total number of ministers will increase. We have to give them security. We have to give them extra facilities. So there will be a lot of financial burden, and also it's not good. Okay, it's also not good. And sometimes what happens? Already JDS and Congress, both of them they have formed government. Let's assume JDS only around 20 members have got ministry post. Let's assume only 20 members have got ministerial post. Now what Congress will do, it will come and it will approach JDS. Why you have joined hands with BJP? Among the 43 members, only 20 have become ministers. Come, you join hands with us. We will make all the 43 of you as ministers. All the 43 members of JDS will make them as ministers. Then what happens? JDS will what? Again move to Congress. So again BJP might say, okay, you come back to us. We will make all of you ministers. On top of that, for every minister we are going to pay 10 crore rupees. Again what they will do? They will switch back from Congress to BJP. So continuously when a party, a group of members, they switch from one party to another party, so continuously there will be a change in government. Once there will be a BJP government for 6 months, after that for 6 months there will be a Congress government. So why it is happening? Because people are going from one party to another party, okay, in the guise of getting what? New ministership, okay, ministership. Hence, it will what? Introduce some kind of instability in the government. That instability should not take place. Hence, we should impose restrictions. In order to impose those restrictions, 91st constitutional amendment was brought. It said that the total number of ministers cannot cross 15% of the strength of the Lok Sabha. So, what is the strength of Lok Sabha? 543. 15% means approximately 80. It means the total ministers should not exceed 80. So, when I say total ministers, it includes the members of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Whether the ministers come from Rajya Sabha or ministers come from Lok Sabha, total together it should not cross 80. It should not cross 80. So this is a very important point from exam point of view, both prelims as well as mains point of view. From prelims point of view, they may ask you what is the percentage threshold, 15%. From mains point of view, okay, in order to maintain the stability, what are the provisions present in the constitution? So this provision is very important. As per the 91st constitutional amendment, the total council of ministers including prime minister should not exceed 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. Okay, strength of the Lok Sabha. Okay. So it includes both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha members. Okay, Rajya Sabha members. Next, why this provision was brought? Not a member, 6 months election or nomination. Okay, nomination. So already we have seen this provision, right? We already seen this provision. So person who is not a member can also become minister for 6 months. Okay, 6 months. Within 6 months he has to get either elected or nominated. Okay, nominated. Next, defection disqualified is disqualified for minister. This is very important. Okay, this is very important. Now why it is important? As we took the example of BJP 250, Congress 250, JDS 43. So what is the strength required for BJP to form government? How many more members are required? 273. So 23 members are short. Okay, 23 members are short. Now what they will do is they will try to approach JDS. JDS is not willing to join hands. What they will do? They will approach few members of Congress. Okay, around 30 members of Congress. So these 30 members of Congress, what they will do? They will go to BJP. They will go to BJP. So we came across a law called as anti-defection law. In which schedule? 10th schedule. So if a person leaves a party, whether he will lose the membership of that party alone or also he will lose the membership of Lok Sabha as well. Membership of Lok Sabha also he will lose. Okay. So let's assume in January 1, 2026. Okay. So 30 members will leave. Okay, 30 members will leave. Now they lose the membership of Lok Sabha as well. They will lose the membership of Lok Sabha as well. In this period, when they are not a member of Lok Sabha, can these 30 members be made ministers? Because we have a provision, right? A person who is neither a member of Lok Sabha nor a member of Rajya Sabha, he can be made minister for 6 months. So these 30 members, they will come to BJP, they may lose the membership of Lok Sabha, but they are very much confident that in the upcoming elections they are going to win the election. Okay, win the election. So now they may become ministers. They may become ministers as well. So here through 91st amendment, what changes they have introduced is, if you leave a party and come to another party, this is defection. Such a defected person cannot become minister. Cannot become minister. Okay. Then when can he become minister? After getting elected itself. After getting elected or nominated. Okay. So once he is disqualified, such disqualified person should not be made minister. should not be made minister. So this is also very important point. Very important point. Next, ministers remain in office as long as they enjoy the pleasure of president. So it means, when will a minister resign? Normally after 5 years all will resign, but sometimes in between, okay, if a minister has to resign, so minister will resign as per the pleasure of the president. Means when the president feels that I don't want this minister, then the minister has to resign. The minister has to resign. So again, very important. Whether pleasure of president indicates his own discretionary power or prime minister's advice. Prime minister's advice. Okay. So when I say pleasure of president, actually indirectly it is pleasure of prime minister. Okay. Prime minister. Very important. Okay. So pleasure of minister, as long as president is happy with the minister, minister will stay. When president is unhappy with the minister, minister has to resign. But indirectly, whose happiness we are speaking about? President or prime minister? It's prime minister, because in India, president is a titular head. Okay, just namesake head. The actual powerful position is of that of prime minister. Prime minister. But in the examination, if they ask, so ministers hold office as long as they enjoy the pleasure of option number 1, president, option number 2, prime minister. In the options they'll give only 1, only 2, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Only 1. It will not be both 1 and 2. Very important. Because in the constitution it has been explicitly mentioned that, yes, so ministers enjoy the office as long as they enjoy the pleasure of president. Okay, pleasure of president. But in reality, actually it is the pleasure of prime minister. Pleasure of prime minister. So council of ministers collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Council of ministers collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. In the previous class also we saw. So in the 50 ministers, okay, let's assume 50 ministers plus 1 prime minister. So there are different ministers. Health minister, next home minister, defense. There are so many ministers. So if some mistake is committed by defense minister, can all the other ministers say, no, it's not our mistake, it's a mistake of defense minister, you just go and ask him? No. All of them are collectively responsible. If one person is involved in wrong activities, the entire council of ministers is held responsible. Okay, is held responsible. Hence, collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Okay, they cannot say that it's not our mistake. So if one person commits a mistake, it's like mistake of the entire government. It's like the mistake of the entire council of ministers. Okay, council of ministers. Next, oath, office, and secrecy to ministers by president. So what does it mean? When a person becomes member of Lok Sabha, someone will administer the oath. Who will give the oath? In that notes I had made a mistake as president. Actually later on again we rectified it. Who will give the oath? Speaker. The presiding officer will give the oath. Similarly, when a person becomes a minister, apart from the oath which a person takes after becoming a member of Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha, there are other 2 oaths which a minister has to take. One is called as oath of office, another is called as oath of secrecy. Okay, oath of secrecy. Again, these oaths are also present, but we need not memorize those oaths. Okay, just we need to know that a minister takes 2 oaths. One is oath of office, I'll work properly in the office. Another one is oath of secrecy. Whatever I am doing in office, I will not share it with others. Okay, oath of office, oath of secrecy. Okay, oath of office, oath of secrecy. Who will administer the oath? President. Very important. Okay, for newly elected Lok Sabha members, it will be speaker. For newly elected Raj Sabha member, it will be chairman. But for ministers who will administer the oath, it will be President of India. Okay, President of India. Deputy Prime Minister, they are explicitly mentioned. Okay, he also takes oath. Sometimes if they ask a question whether Deputy Prime Minister is required to take oath or not, yes, he also is required to take oath. Okay, take oath. What will be the salary of the ministers? As determined by Parliament. So as determined by Parliament means, what does it mean? Parliament, what it will do? Parliament consists of Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha and President. It means they will pass a bill called as Ministers Salary Bill 2026. It has to be passed by Lok Sabha, it has to be passed by Raj Sabha. Next President will sign. Inside this it will be mentioned that minister's salary will be 2 lakh rupees plus extra mobile bill. Okay, all those things will be included. Okay, all those bills will be included. So the minister's salary is determined by Parliament. Okay, Parliament. Minister, other house speak, vote only in the own house. So already we have seen this point. So during the discussion of Parliament, we came across two personalities. One is minister, another one is Attorney General of India. They enjoy special power. What is that special power? They can speak and participate in the other house. Okay, in all the houses. But where they can vote? Only the house which they belong to. The same point has been reiterated here. Okay, so minister, other house. For example, Home Minister Amit Shah. Amit Shah. He belongs to which house? Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? He belongs to Lok Sabha. Other house. Can he speak in Rajya Sabha? Yes, he can speak. Vote only in his own house. Only in Lok Sabha he can vote. He cannot vote in Rajya Sabha. Similarly, if you look at Nirmala Sitharaman, can she speak in Lok Sabha? Yes. Can she vote in Lok Sabha? No. Can she vote in Rajya Sabha? Yes, because Nirmala Sitharaman is Rajya Sabha member. Okay, Rajya Sabha member. So again, the same point we have reiterated. So 1971 Supreme Court. SC indicates Supreme Court. Dissolution. Ministers continue. Very important. Okay. So when the Lok Sabha, which one will get dissolved? Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? Lok Sabha. Even when Lok Sabha gets dissolved, ministers continue to stay, because as per the constitution that continuity should be there. Someone filed a case in Supreme Court, so until the new ministers come, at least for name's sake, the previous ministers will continue. Okay. So as it is Supreme Court judgment, okay, from Prelims point of view, they will not ask a question generally. Okay. But as per the Supreme Court judgment, they may frame a question like this. So ministers also resign when the Lok Sabha is dissolved. True or false? When the Lok Sabha gets dissolved, whether ministers also will resign? No. Even when Lok Sabha is dissolved, ministers continue until the new ministers arrive. Okay, new ministers arrive. Next, 1974, Supreme Court said satisfaction means Council of Ministers satisfaction. Not very important. So because in the Constitution it was mentioned that if President is satisfied, he can do so and so. If President is satisfied, he can prorogue. If President is satisfied, he can summon. If President is satisfied, he can sign the bill. Okay. So someone filed mistook the case to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that when we say President's satisfaction, it is not his individual satisfaction. It is satisfaction of whom? Council of Ministers satisfaction. It is Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. Okay. Headed by Prime Minister. Next, responsibility of ministers. What do the ministers do? So again, the responsibility have been classified into collective responsibility and individual responsibility. Okay, collective responsibility and individual responsibility. Okay. Okay. So, parliamentary system of government, fundamental principle. So what is the fundamental principle of a parliamentary system of government? Collective responsibility is the fundamental principle of parliamentary system of government. Okay, parliamentary system of government. So as we have seen, executive is responsible to legislature. Similarly, collective responsibility is one of the principal, what? Fundamental principle of parliamentary system of government. The parliamentary system of government. So article number 75 says that. So in article number 75 we came across, what did we come across? President is, Prime Minister is appointed by President. Next, ministers are appointed by President based on the advice of Prime Minister. Similarly here article number 75, it gives additional information. What is that? Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Okay, all of them together they are responsible to Lok Sabha. They swim and sink together. Okay, if one person commits mistake, all the other ministers should be able to defend that minister. If they are not able to defend, then all of them, they should resign together. Means if they stay, they'll stay together. If they sink, they'll sink together. Okay, they'll swim and sink together. Okay, so which article of the Constitution says that Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha? Article number 75. Okay, 75. Okay, so Lok Sabha, no confidence, then COM resign. What does it mean? When Lok Sabha does not have the confidence on Council of Ministers, then Council of Ministers have to resign. So what do we understand by no confidence? What do we understand by the term no confidence? Support of how many members? 273 members. When the Council of Ministers does not have the support of more than 273 members, it means more than 273 members are not interested in these Council of Ministers. It means Lok Sabha has lost its confidence on Council of Ministers. So such a Council of Ministers, what they have to do? They have to resign. Okay. If Lok Sabha does not have confidence on the Council of Ministers have to resign. So what is the condition to call it as a no confidence? Less than 273. Okay, less than 273. Next, if Council of Ministers advise President, then President can dissolve Lok Sabha. Very important. If Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister, if he advises President to dissolve the Lok Sabha, can President dissolve Lok Sabha? Yes. After 5 years, it is automatic. But before 5 years also, it can be dissolved. Okay. But this is theoretical. Practically, whether it will happen. So already when a Council of Ministers is there, Prime Minister is there, generally they will not allow the Lok Sabha to get dissolved. But theoretically, yes, who can dissolve Lok Sabha? President. Based on whose advice? Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. So what does this fifth point mean? Can any one of you just explain? What does it mean? Okay. So two scenarios are taken here. The first one is whether the Council of Ministers enjoys the confidence of Lok Sabha. Yes, because 300 members support it. The second scenario, whether the Council of Ministers enjoy the confidence of Lok Sabha. No, only 250 members are supporting, 293 members are against it. Okay, are against it. In such a case, in first case, whether President should listen to this advice given by them. Yes, compulsory, they have to listen. In second case, should he listen? No. That is meant by it. So, President will not oblige, will not listen to the Council of Ministers which has lost the confidence of Lok Sabha. President will not oblige to the Council of Ministers which has lost the confidence of Lok Sabha. Okay, very important. Okay. Cabinet decisions binding on all ministers. Okay, very important. Now later on we will discuss two things. One is Council of Ministers. Another one is Cabinet. Okay. So Council of Ministers, it consists of approximately around 50 to 60 ministers. Okay, 50 to 60 ministers. But Cabinet, it consists of around 10 to 15 ministers. Okay, there is no hard and fast rule, but generally 10 to 15 ministers. Among the Council of Ministers, some ministers are called as Cabinet Ministers. So what we can say is Cabinet Minister is a subset of Council of Ministers. So the people who are part of the Cabinet, they are most powerful positions. For example, Home Ministry, Defense Ministry, Finance Ministry, Prime Minister's Office. So we are 10 to 15 ministers together, we call them as Cabinet. So what you can do is, you can just take it as a homework. Presently find out how many ministers are part of India's Cabinet today, and which all ministries are part of it, and who are the ministers, who are the respective ministers. So out of curiosity you can just find out. Okay, and it is not fixed, it may vary. Okay, it may vary. So which one is a larger body, Council of Ministers or Cabinet? Council of Ministers is a larger body of around 50 to 60 members. Cabinet is a smaller body of 10 to 15 members. So generally on day-to-day basis, all the Council of Ministers will not meet. Very rarely Council of Ministers will meet. But on day-to-day basis, every week at least 2 to 3 times who will meet? Cabinet will meet. And whatever the decision has been taken by this Cabinet by 10 to 15 members, whatever decision they might take, okay, so the other Council of Ministers, they have to say yes, they cannot say no. Whatever the decision that has been imposed by the Cabinet, the other ministers should say yes, they cannot say no. Okay, and generally no one will say no. Okay, so generally they will accept the direction given by the Cabinet. Very important. So Cabinet decision is binding on all ministers. For example, the Cabinet of 10 to 15 members, they will take some decision, and if one minister, let's assume some minister X, if he is not happy, then he has to resign from the ministry post. Okay, either he should be okay and continue with that decision. If he is not happy, then he should resign. Okay, he should resign. Very important. So Cabinet decisions binding on all ministers. Defend. Who should defend? All the ministers who are present over here, they should defend. Whatever the decision has been taken, they should be okay with it. If they disagree, if they are not okay with it, then what they have to do? They have to resign. They have to resign. Okay. All the other ministers, the decision taken by the cabinet, they have to accept it. If they are not okay with it, then what they have to do? They have to resign. Okay, they have to resign. So whether such examples do exist in Indian history? Yes, the most famous example is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So he was a part of the Council of Ministers, but cabinet it took some decision with respect to Hindu Code Bill. So he was unhappy and he did not want to defend that. Hence what he did? He resigned. Okay, such historical examples exist wherein the decision taken by the cabinet was not accepted by the cabinet minister or some other ministers, and finally they resigned. Okay, they finally resigned. So this can be a famous example which can be quoted. So here what we saw collective responsibility. Okay, collective responsibility. Similarly, individual responsibility. So here what happens? The same concepts will repeat. Okay, the same concept will repeat. So article number 75 says that minister hold office as long as he enjoys the pleasure of president. Okay, as long as president is happy, minister will enjoy his office. So advice of prime minister. Pleasure of president means based on prime minister's pleasure. The prime minister's pleasure. So through this, prime minister ensures a rule of collective responsibility. So why this provision is required? To ensure collective responsibility, prime minister whatever he asked to the minister, so the minister should do. If minister is not ready to do, then prime minister cannot ensure collective responsibility. Hence, all the ministers should listen to prime minister. Should listen to prime minister's advice. No doubt they can give opinion, but ultimately they should listen to prime minister. Hence, in order to ensure that collective responsibility, this provision has been included. That is, a minister has to resign when president is not happy. But what do we understand when president is unhappy? Prime minister is not happy with the minister. Prime minister is not happy with the minister. No legal responsibility. So again, they may frame a question in Prelims. So president's order for public act not countersigned. Courts barred. Advice tendered to. Okay. So what is the first point? Now generally, when you are signing any kind of documents, it may be school or college or somewhere. So if a document has to be signed by principal, okay. Here let's assume HOD. So HOD, what he will do? He will make a small sign here, so that it will be a reference to principal. So based on this, principal will come to know that already HOD has verified. Now without going through a letter also, sometimes principal will sign. So this is called as what? Chota sign. So the actual sign will be made by principal. Similarly, in some other countries, what they do is, now all the government documents, they will be signed by president. Ultimately it will be signed by president. But before sending it to president, the respective ministers will do a small sign, chota sign. Okay, but in India we don't have such kind of system. A minister will not sign. Okay, only president will sign. So president order for public act not countersigned. For example, marriage related law is brought by home ministry. So home ministry need not sign it. Directly president will sign. Okay, such kind of system exists in some other country, but in India there is no legal responsibility for minister. He need not countersign. Okay. Next, courts barred advice standard to PM to P with respect to ministers. So as we have seen, whatever the advice that has been given to president by the Council of Ministers, courts will not ask why you are given such kind of advice. Okay, so courts are barred from inquiring into such kind of advice. Okay. So composition of Council of Ministers. So Council of Ministers, it consists of different posts. Okay, different posts. One is cabinet ministers. I just listed few. Head important ministries like home, defense. I given you a homework to make a list of all the cabinet ministries and who all are holding those positions. Okay, who all are holding those positions. Next, ministers of state. Okay, ministers of state. Now, while reading newspaper, you come across these terms. You come across term called as cabinet ministers. You come across term called as minister of state. In the examination, they will go to next level. What kind of question they will frame is, which of the terms are present in the constitution? Whether the term Council of Ministers is present in the constitution? Whether the term Council of Ministers is present in the constitution? Yes, the term Council of Ministers is present in the constitution. Whether the term cabinet ministers is present in the constitution? Cabinet, initially in 1950 it was not there, but later on it was added. So this term is also present in the Constitution. It means the post of cabinet minister is a constitutional post. Next, whether the term minister of state exists in the constitution? No. So when we are preparing, so we need to be aware. So the minister of what? State position is not present in the constitution. Okay, not present in the constitution. Similarly, deputy minister's kind of term is also not present in the constitution. Okay. Now, independent charge of ministry departments, not members of cabinet. No meeting attended unless invited. Attached to cabinet minister. So we need to understand who is the cabinet, what? Minister of state. So generally we get confused. Now, whom we can call Ministry of State? Jyotiraditya Scindia? No. Presently, who is Minister of State? Okay. So let's assume cabinet, finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman. So she is a cabinet minister as well. So she alone will not be able to carry out all the things effectively. So under her, there will be some ministers. So they will be called as Minister of State for Finance. Okay. There cannot be a single minister. There can be multiple ministers. Ministry of State for Finance, 1 or 2 ministers. Ministry of State for Home. Ministry of State for Agriculture. In that fashion, we can have ministers. So here the term that confuses here is state. Okay. So don't get confused. So there are 28 states in India. Will there be 28 Minister of State for Finance? No. Only 1 or 2 Minister of State will be there. They will be working under Finance Minister. Okay. Finance Minister is a cabinet post, but as she alone cannot handle all the thing, so some posts have been created called as Minister of State. Okay. Minister of State. So independent charge of ministries or departments. Okay. So they will be handling some independent, within this ministry there will be multiple things which they are supposed to do. Okay, for example, within a finance ministry we will be having department 1, department 2, department 3 and so on. For each of these ministry departments we can have a separate Minister of State. Okay, Minister of State. So here what we have to understand from exam point of view is whether Ministry of State is part of cabinet? No. Okay, so not members of cabinet, very important. Can they attend the meetings of cabinet? No, only if they are called, then they can attend the cabinet meeting. Otherwise, they are not allowed. Okay, they are not allowed. So whether they can hold independent charge? Yes. Of what? Of ministers or ministries or departments. Okay, departments. Next, just look at this last one. Deputy ministers attached to cabinet minister or minister of state. No cabinet meeting attend. It means a deputy minister can be attached to a cabinet minister or they can be attached to minister of state. So now the confusion is, if you look at the hierarchy, which is highest, cabinet or deputy minister of state? Cabinet. Next is ministry of state. When it comes to deputy minister, so deputy minister's position is higher than ministry of state or lesser than ministry of state? Lesser, because a deputy minister can also be attached to minister of state. Minister of State. So when it comes to hierarchy, cabinet highest, next Ministry of State, after that Deputy Minister. Okay, Deputy Minister. So Deputy Minister can be attached either to Cabinet Minister or Minister of State. Okay, Minister of State. So all of them, they differ in ranks, emoluments and political importance. Okay, so the salaries will not be same of all the different ministers. There will be a significant difference. Next, political importance. Cabinet ministry is of a higher importance. Lesser importance is Minister of State. And next, finally, Deputy Minister. So how exactly they differ? Not important. What is the salary difference? Not important. Okay, not important. Parliament secretaries attached to senior ministers assist. So from 1967 onwards, there is no appointment. Hence, this entire point is not important. You just ignore this point. Okay, ignore this point. Next, this point is very important. Council of Ministers versus Cabinet. So which one is the highest body? Cabinet or Council of Ministers? Cabinet. So role of Cabinet, highest decision making authority, politico-administrative system. So in the examination, if they ask you which is the highest decision making body, Council of Ministers or Cabinet? It's Cabinet. So where do you have more number of members? Council of Ministers or Cabinet? Council of Ministers. Okay. Chief policy formulating body of central government. So these are just, we are going through these statements, but in the examination they are never going to ask you such kind of statements. If at all in mains it is possible, you can recall 1 or 2 points. You need not memorize here. Okay, you need not memorize. If I frame a statement like this, which is the chief policy formulating body of central government? President, Prime Minister's office, Council of Ministers, or Cabinet? Cabinet. Cabinet. Which is the supreme executive authority of the central government? In this fashion, you will retain the information. If this is the question, Cabinet will be the answer. Okay. So, chief coordinator of central administration, Cabinet. Okay, Cabinet. Advisory body to President. So, generally we say Council of Ministers, but it will not be Council of Ministers. Who will be the main advisory body? It will be Cabinet, and this advice will be binding on President. Okay, President cannot say that I want the signature of all the Council of Ministers. No, if Cabinet says, then President has to accept and he has to sign. He has to sign. So, chief advisory body to President. Chief crisis manager, all emergency situations. So, whenever there is a crisis, for example, let's assume there is somewhere earthquake or terrorist attack. So, who will be chief crisis manager? Cabinet. Okay, Cabinet. Next, deals with all major legislative and financial matters. Now, when you want to introduce any kind of bill in the Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha, especially government bill, so before the bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha, so Cabinet will discuss and then they will decide whether this bill has to be introduced in Lok Sabha or not. Okay. Hence, they play a very important role in all legislative and financial matters. Okay. So every bill before being brought to Lok Sabha, generally it is discussed in Cabinet. Discussed in Cabinet. Control over appointments, very important. Now, which is the most senior most position which an IAS can secure? When you go, when the promotion takes place, so gradually they may go to highest post. Okay, the highest post which an Indian Administrative Service officer can hold is, okay, it is Cabinet Secretary. Cabinet Secretary. Okay. So every ministry, the top notch position below the ministry will be an IAS officer. So they will be called as secretary, under secretary, joint secretary. There will be so many IAS officers. Okay, but the topmost position which an IAS officer can enjoy, okay, it will be cabinet secretary. So those who crack the examination at a very young age of 21 or 22, so there are chances that by the time they retire, they may go to the position of cabinet secretary. Cabinet secretary. Okay. So these kind of appointments, who should become cabinet secretary? These appointments are done by whom? What? By cabinet. Okay, by cabinet. So control over appointment, constitutional authorities, etc. So who should become the cabinet secretary? Who should become the UPSC next chairman? Who should become a UPSC member? So the cabinet ministers have a strong control over it. Okay, strong control over it. Deals with foreign policies and affairs. So with which country we have to build a good relationship? We have to purchase oil from Russia or from Middle East. Okay, these important decisions are taken by cabinet. So all these things we need to understand. We need not memorize. So unlike the preamble, unlike the fundamental duties, where each and every point we memorized, we try to recall. Here that recalling is not important. That understanding is important. Once you understand, and if you are able to recall 1 or 2 key points, that would be sufficient. Okay. So finally, the same things what we have discussed, I have just compared it in the form of a table. Okay. So Council of Ministers generally 60 to 80, 70 members. What is the limit? Maximum 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. So it was given in the original constitution or through later amendment. Which amendment? 91st constitutional amendment. Okay, amendment. Next, cabinet, it consists of 15 to 20 members. All ministers are part of cabinet. Only cabinet ministers, important ministers are part of cabinet. Next, no collective functions, does not meet as a body to transact business. Means on day-to-day basis or weekly meeting, they are not involved. But cabinet meets usually once in a week. Collective function. Again, not necessary. Generally, they may they will meet once in a week. They might even meet twice, thrice. They can meet. Okay, they can. So, Council of Ministers powers just in theory. That Council of Ministers is responsible to Lok Sabha and all. But in practice, the real power is exercised by whom? Practically, they exercise the power of Council of Ministers. Who will exercise? Cabinet. Okay, cabinet. Next, functions determined by cabinet. What Council of Ministers should do? It is determined by cabinet. Okay, cabinet will decide what the Council of Ministers should do. But here, it directs Council of Ministers about the policy decision and it is binding. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to bring a new bill with respect to education. Okay, so no one should raise an objection. We are just sending it, you should say okay. So Council of Ministers, it will direct the policy decision to other Council of Ministers and it is binding on them. They have to accept it. Okay, they have to accept it. So whatever the decision that has been taken by the cabinet ministers, so Council of Ministers will implement it in the respective ministry. So here it supervises implementation. It will just check whether implementation is taking place properly or not. So Council of Ministers, whether it is a constitutional body, yes. So when do we call a body as a constitutional body? Whenever that term appears in the constitution, we call it as a constitutional body. Probably in the first or second class, I had given you the work to make a list of all the constitutional bodies. You came across multiple organizations which are called as constitutional bodies. Example, UPSC, Election Commission, and so on. Because all these terms, they explicitly appear in the constitution. Okay, constitution. Similarly, the term Council of Ministers also explicitly it appears in the constitution in article number 74 and 75. Hence, the term Council of Ministers is a constitutional body. Okay. The size and classification not mentioned. So in the constitution, they are not mentioned like cabinet ministers, minister of state, deputy ministers. They are not mentioned. They are just mentioned Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers. So then, who determines the size? Whether there should be 60 ministers or 70 ministers or 50 ministers? It is determined by Prime Minister. So Prime Minister will say, if we have only 50 ministers, that would be sufficient. Then they will have 50 ministers. So it is a discretion of Prime Minister. So classification based on the parliamentary conventions, especially British, means whatever the system we have, Ministry of State, Minister of Deputy Minister. So all these things are not present in the Constitution. Okay, so we are following the practice which is prevalent in some other country. Example, Britain. Okay, example, Britain. Okay, so there is no parliamentary conventions. Okay, legislative sanction, Salary and Allowance Act includes Deputy Minister. So there is a law called as Salary and Allowance Act. Okay, so it provides information about the salary of all the ministers. So in that we have the term called as Council of Ministers, next Ministry of State, Deputy Minister. So salary information is present in this act. Next, coming to cabinet. So originally the term cabinet was not present in the constitution. Through 44th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1978, inserted in article number 352. So very important. So whether the term cabinet is present in the constitution? Yes. Whether initially it was present? No. Through which constitutional amendment the term was added? 44th Constitutional Amendment. So important. Okay. So no description of power and functions. Okay. So even though they introduced a term called as cabinet, in the constitution they are not explicitly mentioned what are the powers exercised by cabinet minister. They are not mentioned. Then how will cabinet come to know that we have to do so and so functions? Conventions of parliamentary system. So whatever the system is being followed in Britain, similar kind of functions we have adopted and we have started practicing in India. Important. Okay. So here, collective responsible to lower house. So it enforces collective responsibility. Okay. Don't go into deeper aspects. We already know that executive is responsible to Lok Sabha. That's it. Now next, when you go through Lakshmikant, there are some 1 or 2 pages devoted to things like role description. What someone else has said about Prime Minister, what someone else has said about Cabinet Minister, Council of Ministers. So none of that content is important. Okay, so you need to understand that whatever the content that has been presented in book, everything will not automatically become important from exam point of view. This content, neither it is important from prelims point of view nor mains point of view. So you will not go through that content, you will skip that content. So hence I explicitly marked it as X, you will not go through it. Also in that book they have mentioned about the kitchen cabinet. Not important, just completely ignored. Okay, why I have mentioned here? Because later on when you start reading book, so you may feel that it is a new version of the book and probably in the classroom they might have forgotten to discuss it or they might have forgotten to include it. I have gone through the content, so that exam demand which I understand, based upon that I have come to a conclusion that these things are not important, unnecessarily we will not waste our time on these things. Okay, on these things. Okay. Now yesterday we came across committees, if you can recall. Yesterday, day for yesterday, when we were discussing about committees, we discussed about parliamentary committees. So in parliamentary committees, who can become members? Lok Sabha members or Rajya Sabha members, they will become members. Okay, members. So we discussed some famous committees. Public Accounts Committee. So Public Accounts Committee consists of how many members? 22. How many from Lok Sabha? How many from Rajya Sabha? 15 Lok Sabha, 7 Rajya Sabha. Whether they are elected or nominated? Elected. For a period of how many days? 1 year. Who will be the chairman of Public Accounts Committee? Speaker? No, whether he belongs to opposition party or ruling party. Public Accounts Committee. Opposition party. Whether it has been mentioned in the constitution? No, by convention. Okay. So similarly, we came across the Estimates Committee. It consists of how many members? 30. Departmental Standing Committees. 31. Committee on Public Sector Undertakings. How many members? 22. Okay. So gradually you should become perfect with respect to these four committees and also other committees as well. Now similar to parliamentary committees, we have another set of committee called as Cabinet Committee. So why do we have parliamentary committees? What we discussed, if a single law, if all the 543 members, if they start discussing, then 1 month session will be over in discussing only one bill. So what they have done, that division of labor. So a committee will be created, some job will be assigned to it, so it will work on that job. Okay. So just to reduce the effort and for the division of labor, we have created parliamentary committees. Okay, parliamentary committees. Similarly, when it comes to cabinet, there are 15 to 20 members. Okay, there are so many things to be discussed. So many decisions to be taken. So sometimes what happens, all of them sitting together for all the decision will be practically difficult. Hence what they have done, they have created multiple committees, okay, of 2 to 3 members. So these committees will sit together and decide on few things. They are called as cabinet committees. So here statically we will see whatever has a few things that have been mentioned in the book, but this is more important from current affairs point of view. When you start reading a newspaper article, either it is editorial or any other article, at that time whenever you come across any committee, for example cabinet committee on appointment, if you come across a term called as cabinet committee on appointment, then even that information, if it is missing in the newspaper article also, you will explore more in the internet and find out who all are part of cabinet committee on appointment. For example, Prime Minister plus Home Minister. You will come across one more committee, cabinet committee on economic affairs, a very famous committee. Okay, repeatedly it comes in the newspaper. Again later on we will be discussing about it. So when this term appears, cabinet committee on economic affairs, who all are part of it? Cabinet committee on security, who all are part of it? So the next discussions that we make here, it is not complete, it is partial. Okay, it's partial and it may even not be right as well, because these things, so they gradually change. Okay, this has been prepared from the static point of view, so gradually it will change. So every now and then, whenever we encounter a term called as cabinet committee, it may be with respect to security or economic affairs or something else. So every time we come across, we'll search which all ministers are part of that cabinet committee. Okay, so these are extra constitutional. It means there is no mention of cabinet committees in the constitution. So rules of business provides for them. Okay, so there is some rule book. In that rule book, they have provided about the cabinet committees. Okay, so there are some committees which are permanent. We call them as standing committee. There are some committees which are temporary. For time being, they have been constituted. We call them as ad hoc committees. Okay, ad hoc committees. Okay, so who will set up these cabinet committees? Who will set up the parliamentary committees? Who will set up? Presiding officer. Okay. So speaker will set up. So similarly here, who will set up the cabinet committees? Prime Minister. Hence, numbers and nomenclature varies. So how many members are there in a committee? What should be the name given? So it changes. Okay, it changes. So membership generally 3 to 8. Usually cabinet ministers, others not debarred. Generally when it comes to cabinet committee, only the cabinet ministers will be part of it. But even if someone else is also included, yes, they can also be included. They are not debarred. Hence, not that important. So most of the cabinet committees are headed by Prime Minister, mostly headed by Prime Minister, but there is no hard and fast rule that every cabinet committee should be headed by Prime Minister. There can be some other minister who can head it. Cabinet can review their decisions. So when a cabinet committee of 3 members have taken some decision, then later on 15 to 20 ministers, cabinet ministers, they can change or review that decision. Okay, they can review that decision. Okay. So what is the intention of creating cabinet committees? Reduce workload of cabinet. Ultimately, what was the intention of creating parliamentary committees? to reduce the workload of the parliamentarians. Similarly, the intention of creating cabinet committee is to reduce the workload of cabinet. Facilitate in-depth examination of the policy issues. So when you take up any issue, you can study in detail. What was the intention of parliamentary committees? To study a particular issue in detail. Similarly here. Okay, similarly here. Important standing committees. Okay. So these are some of the committees which appear in newspaper. But apart from this, whenever they appear, you have to cross-verify through internet whether the same remains true or it has changed. So example, Political Affairs Committee. One committee called as Political Affairs Committee. It is the most powerful committee. It is also called as Super Cabinet. So what you can do is, afterwards you can verify whether presently Political Affairs Committee is there or not. You can just verify. In this Political Affairs Committee, who all is part of it? Whether Prime Minister is part of it, whether Home Minister is part of it, just complete this exercise as a homework. Okay, as a homework. Next, Economic Affairs Committee. So again, very famous committee. What you will do, you will also complete the exercise for this as well. So later on you will search Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Who all are part of this? Okay, who all are part of this? Who is heading it? Okay, who is heading it? Appointment Committee. Very important. You search for this as well. The important positions, for example, Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, Joint Secretary, all the appointments are done by Appointments Committee of Cabinet. So who all are part of it? Search it. Next, all the three PM chaired. So these Political Affairs Committee, Economic Affairs Committee, Appointments Committee are chaired by Prime Minister. But whether it is true even today, we will cross-verify this as well. We will not accept this information as true. Okay, this is static part. Generally they change. So we'll cross-verify whether the same remains true now as well. Okay, now as well. Next, we have one more committee called as Parliamentary Affairs Committee. It is chaired by Home Ministry. You cross-verify whether Parliamentary Affairs Committee exists or not. If it exists, who is chairing it? Whether Home Minister or someone else. Okay. So see, there is a difference between Political Affairs Committee and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. Okay, Parliamentary Affairs Committee. So in order to overcome confusion, one or two lines you can search what is the difference between Political Affairs Committee and Parliamentary Affairs Committee as well. Okay, committee as well. Okay. So with this, we have come to a conclusion of another very important topic called as Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers. So when you look at the textbook, the order is first the topic of Council of Ministers will come, next Prime Minister, and next Parliament. If we go in that order, then we will not be able to connect the things properly. So first we started with Parliament, we connected all the dots, we understood about the legislature, we understood about the executive, then we came to Council of Ministers. Now all the things more or less it is crystal clear. Crystal clear. Again on top of this, if you have any kind of doubt, okay, so you can raise your doubts either now or after the class or next class. Okay, next class. So with this we conclude a topic called as Council of Ministers.